This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg. Can you tell that I used to do voice lines for a phone system for an undisclosed company? Welcome back to the Daily Saints Pod. I am your host today, Zach Ingo Finch, mixing things up because Greg, you died, mate. How you doing?
I am here in body and just about in spirit.
So Greg is one of those people who have children, like a lot of you probably out there, which means that his kids have gone back for one day, and like a lot of the people we work with it's probably going to be off sick towards the end of this week due to the fact that all of them have caught whatever illnesses are floating around. It's going to be me hosting today, which means expect a lot more waffle and failure to transition. Luckily, we don't have any of that nonsense in the middle anymore, so... Who knows? Can I call it nonsense? Nah, it's not true. GSPN were good for us, but if you haven't heard, and this is the first time you've tuned in a while, we are now an independent podcast going forward. So yeah, please like, subscribe, all that jazz. But we'll kick off with what we're doing today. So Championship Roundup, because poor Greg probably doesn't have the philosophy skills currently to go through the trials and tribulations of being a Saints fan. And on top of that, we want to talk about transfers, but we just want to wait maybe a day, just let some more things happen, because there's lots of stuff on the cards right now, right? But it's all on the cards.
Settle a bit, it'll all come to fruition, I'm sure. We've got plenty of time to talk about transfers.
Exactly that. So let's start at the start, which at least this time round, I don't need to go Friday early, but then going into Sunday, or whichever way you explain it. I'm just going to read out, Greg, the games that have happened and the scores, and hope that they're in order. And if they're not, all about professionalism here.
Who's paying attention? That's the real question.
Exactly that. No. Birmingham City 3, Coventry City 2. How do you feel about this one, Greg? Considering,
I mean, look, that was a big game, right? It's a big result for Birmingham. It makes our draw at home to them look slightly better. Away to them, sorry. Home for them, away for us. That's how games work. Yeah, I mean, look, they beat Coventry, who are banging form and flying at the top of the league, and we held them to a draw. They are a force to be reckoned with at home.
This is also true.
It's been, 39 home games since they've lost there now? It's crazy, and I guess maybe it puts into perspective some of the stuff from us, but yeah, it's a huge result for them. And I mean,
it's kind of
game 3-2, lots of goals.
It's one of those, it's one of those things as well where, obviously, when we played against them, they had an out of form striker, and they didn't play their out of form striker, and he scored twice today. And to sort of an early goal and then immediately hit with another early goal. Coventry then go 2-1 up. Then it's 2-2. Coventry then equalise, and then we end up with 3-2. And then they manage to hold out right to the end where Coventry get a player sent off. So it's kind of just a bit of a weird one, really. But fair play to Birmingham. And I don't know if it really makes us look better because of, the team setup. But also Coventry probably, as we've discussed over the Christmas period, are also tired, right? And I think Frank Lampard even said in the post-match interview, look, we just kind of let our eyes slip off the ball a little bit, and that's less than ideal. But,
Birmingham, again, if you look at the stats of the game, though, Birmingham's showing that, they're happy to not have the ball and come at you and cause chaos, and that's not the sort of team we particularly like playing against anyway.
No, and we will be able to talk about a team later, mate.
Possession. That's the only lopsided stat. To have 24.3% of the ball and still manage 9 shots and 4 shots on target and score 3 goals is just insane.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's again, they're the ones that I think I predicted Wrexham to do better out of the promoted sides. I think you were the one that said Birmingham would probably do a bit better. And they are, and arguably they're above us, mate.
Only just.
only just, but still, considering we're, us and Leicester ex Premier League teams that have gone down, right? And Birmingham is above them. Also, Sheffield United, had odds on to win the league this year. They are also now below Birmingham City. So,
good old AI.
Yeah. The Opta supercomputer, mate, not just AI.
Yeah.
But so yeah, fair play to them. Like I think that considering they came up with lofty ambitions, they're probably, I don't know if they're happy with where they are or not. But I think personally they should be. I guess Wrexham being above them is probably not great for the Hollywood look, right? But as you said, a point, like managing to get 3 points from the league leaders, very good show, and especially consider their form before that was a lot of draws and losses. So whereas Coventry have seemingly sort of dropped off a little bit, right? Lost, draw, loss. Not quite the sort of level of head loss we've had.
But like you say, mate, like they're a team who are going to struggle as these fixtures get this busy, right? Because how can you maintain that level of momentum and that sort of level of settledness when you're playing 4 games in 10 days? It's just not reasonable.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, that's Birmingham City and Coventry for you. Moving swiftly on, QPR 3, Sheffield Wednesday 0. I just feel bad, man. At this point, it's just like bullying, isn't it? Do you not feel bad a little bit about it?
I do. I feel every time we do these championship roundups, I just feel really bad for Sheffield Wednesday, and it just kind of is what it is. But you still got to go out there and beat them, and QPR did that decisively. Fair play to them.
True. Ex-Saint Nathan Redmond still playing football, mate. He came on as a sub for Sheffield Wednesday in the 57th minute. And I don't know if you saw some news about, I think it's Harry Amass, who's a Manchester United youngster. I think is going to go back. And there's a lot of people, especially on our side of social media, basically knocking around being like, "Oh, maybe we should get him out on loan and say goodbye to Ryan Manning." So who knows? I doubt just because we want something to happen, it will happen. But apparently there are 2 or 3 clubs interested. But yeah, you just got to feel bad for them. I think that they know their season's over right at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, minus 7 points, 23 games left to play. It is what it is with the position and the hand that they've been put in by their former owner. So
this is true. Did you see that guy's terrible attempt at banter to using a Jan Valery sticker to scrape the ice off of his window? Because, and then he started to try and be like, "Oh, yeah, it's -7," because obviously they have -7 points. And if it sounds awful in the delivery that I've just given, right, that's because that's how awful the attempt at banter was. Yeah. And I don't know why that popped into my head. Mainly
if you're a fan of football in any way, then you're not enjoying seeing what's happening to Sheffield Wednesday. It's simple. Even Blades fans have come out and said that it's not a position anyone wants to see or anyone wants to be in. And it almost ruins the competitive of the league because it's effectively dropped the relegation places to 2 places. It is sad. It's a shame.
Well, I concur, mate. It's sad. I hope that next season they can bounce back a little bit. But yeah, so QPR 3, Sheffield Wednesday 0. So moving swiftly on to Sheffield United, Oxford United. Incredible game, Greg. It didn't happen. Postponement, frozen pitch, not the only one so far. We'll talk about another one later.
No, probably the least dramatic of the postponements, right? Just it happened. Fair enough.
Yeah, no one got that mad or upset about it, but here we are now. There'll be some others that aren't like that. But yeah, no game there. So then moving swiftly on, Blackburn Rovers 2, Charlton Athletic 2. Considering what Blackburn early on were considered for relegation, right? I think they're relegation candidates to a lot of people. They are currently sat in 20th place. Charlton Athletic sat in 19th. A draw probably doesn't really help either of them. They're both kind of sat languishing near the bottom. Time will tell if Norwich can turn things around, or Oxford likewise. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about this game because it's like one of those things where it's like a thrilling draw, but also is it because are any of the draws that we've really watched recently that thrilling? I think I've just become so numb to them from all of the draws we've had so far this season. Just made me miserable.
I mean, Charlton bottling a 2-0 lead is like talk worthy, right? And it's something to be said for, you know, Nathan Jones and his seeing out the game ability. But yeah. I mean, look, entertaining draw. And yeah, Nathan Jones is not happy with throwing away a 2-0 lead. Just is what it is, isn't it? Just championship things.
Well, yes. After his like physically feeling sick or whatever comments it was after like the Portsmouth loss, right? Where they lost like 2-1 or whatever it was, and they lost in the last minute. Is it really like the worst thing for them to at least manage a draw this time around? I guess throwing a 2-0 lead away is awful. But I feel bad for Charlton because they did have a really strong start to the season, right? And luckily that strong start to the season is probably the thing that's currently kept them out of the relegation zone. And with like Norwich having a new manager in, I expect them kind of to turn around and then it'll be a scrappy fight at the bottom. Which, to be honest, mate, we're not that far away from, right? Like Charlton,
no, not a million miles away from.
Charlton have like 4 less points than us, and that is. It's really worrying that we're now back in that stage after feeling like we had an inevitable rise to the top.
Looking down instead of looking up. Look, Charlton, I think, especially at the start of the season, they'd have felt like they were overperforming based on, you know, they came up as the playoff winning team, don't forget. So it was always going to be
they're always going up
a bit of a struggle for them. But they've done well and they're still there or thereabouts kicking about it. You know, they got 2 draws out of the busy festive period, and you know, as a squad coming up from below, they're going to be more prone to it. Their squad is inevitably smaller, so to come out with that, you know, almost unscathed is probably good for them, and then, you know, see if they can kick on from that to, like you say, put a bit more of a battle in. But you know, their strong start pushing them as clear of the relegation zone as they are is doing them favours for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think they're going to sign James Bree?
Probably. I don't see. I mean, he's been such a key player for them, and I mean, are we going to want him back? Do we want him back? I don't know. I feel like there's a mixed opinion about that across the fan base. I always liked Bree. I thought he was pretty decent.
Well, depends. Are we ever going to play with right backs again?
Well, yeah.
Do we need a show-stopping active defensive player, or are we going to persist with this 3 at the back situation? Either way,
well, only time will tell.
Blackburn 2, Charlton 2. We move on to Preston, still doing uncharacteristic Preston things, or at least uncharacteristic for Preston before this season. They have now beaten Bristol City 2-0. Bristol City being a team that were really dropped out of form, right? They were sort of in the playoff places and were really hoping to sort of push on like they did last year. And obviously they lost their manager, who disappeared off to Norwich, who had an extremely unsuccessful spell. But they're very like, at least there's no draws in between for Bristol City, right? It's either loss or win. You know, they're throwing their all into it. I suppose you can at least give them that. But fair play to Preston. Like I just didn't think that we would see them be this good and this consistent for the whole of this season, and yet they have managed to do it, right?
Yeah, look, pushing on. They're on a nice little run now. That's a couple of wins on the bounce. Still right up there in amongst it in the playoff positions. Fair play to them.
Yeah, and again, not needing to like dominate the ball. It's some of these sort of what we would used to consider smaller sides, right? Who are being able to show you like how good counter-attacking football is, and why the like possession-based meta that you absolutely despise, Greg, I think is going to go out of fashion. Right, we're seeing it across the board now that like teams You just can't hold that up unless you have like the budget of a Man City, and they can't seem to do that themselves at the moment. So
exactly, like, bring back 4-4-2. Just saying, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's classic for a reason, right? So
exactly that. But either way, fair play to Preston, who continue their sort of sticking to the playoff places. The next game is a classic where a former Saints player scored, Greg. I say it's a classic. I don't know why. Derby Wrexham is not a classic. It's not. They're not two Welsh sides coming against them. But I think the most exciting thing, Greg, is Ben Brereton Diaz scored the only goal for Derby. So that's like another goal to his tally playing for them. But unfortunately, they were beat by Wrexham 2-1. Wrexham, who now sit 9th in the Championship, who are slowly beginning their ascendancy. I said at the beginning of the season.
On the bounce.
Yeah.
Flying.
I said at the beginning of the season, if they were able to click and get everything working together, they could be a force to be reckoned with, especially where they had such good moving parts already, right? Like if you compare them to us, which I know feels a bit weird, but obviously like, we've given them the stick for the Hollywood bits and pieces. We did that a lot the early season. But if you compare them to us in the sense of our core base, I think a lot of people seem to think there is a problem with, as in like the base spine of our team because of the successive managers and the successive problems. Wrexham's core base has been success. Mullins is obviously coming back from Wigan. It seems to have, they've decided they don't want him for the rest of the season. Whether or not we'll see him, who actually knows? But obviously they've kept some of their, they've managed to keep some good players. Even Jay Rodriguez got on the pitch at the end of the game, mate. If you want a little bit,
yeah, I did see that came on in the 90th minute.
So them doing really, really well is a result of the work they've put in, but also the Hollywood money, right? Yeah, this is like key good ownership. Like people thought, can they do it in the Championship? And so far, like if survival was the aim, they're surviving better than the others, including us at the moment, which is slightly depressing. But I guess we'll see what happens. There's a lot of the season to go still. But and on the Derby side, the inevitable sort of supposed to be absolutely incredible Derby, who, to be fair, still doing okay. They're not languishing in relegation spots, which is what so our previous boss, Nick Britton, thought. That's what, he was trying to tell us, that they're absolutely awful. And then they had a pretty good season so far. And one of our loanies doing well, something like that. A goal during the January transfer window when potentially there are eyes elsewhere for his was a good. It's nothing but a good thing for us, right? It's what we might sell him.
That's it.
Anyway,
I mean, someone's got to want him, right?
So mean. Wrexham 2, Derby 1. Okay, so this is the one that's a bit more controversial. So Hull City postponed, Watford postponed. This is the one where it was supposed to be at Hull, right? And
it was 10 minutes before kickoff, right?
Yeah, it was the one where fans had already arrived. Everybody was waiting to play the game, and then they called it off because of safety concerns. And Hull City came out and were like, "Yeah, everyone, it's just because of safety concerns. It's been a problem." And it turns out that wasn't the case at all. Watford were like, "Nah, we didn't agree to this postponement, and we didn't agree to not play the game." So a little bit of confusion there, and obviously, it's not exactly a small away trip, is it? Either.
It's not a good look for whether it was the referee's decision. So the what's come out right is that it wasn't the playing surface; it was the bits around the pitch that were frozen. Now you've probably seen the social media clips of them literally blowtorching the ice to try and melt it in those areas around the pitch, which were just incredible. But whether it's the referee's decision and he overlooked it when he did his pitch inspection and then saw it, or whether it's Hull that have taken the decision, it's not a good look that late before the game.
It's not a good look, but also considering we have had a number of tragedies over the last couple of years of dangerous, usually non-league grounds, right, where there's concrete blocks around and players have got severely injured. Some people have unfortunately died. I can understand from a safety perspective if they're worried that someone is going to slip on ice and crack their head open.
Yeah, 100%. But also, that block of ice would have been there when they did the pitch inspection.
Yeah, the flip side is that, like,
it's not,
plan better.
It didn't appear out of nowhere. Like, must have been there the entire time. So, like, I don't... Yeah. 10 minutes before kickoff's absolutely ridiculous. And all of those travelling Watford fans should be reimbursed in full for their travel, because it's a joke, honestly.
Agreed. And unfortunately, our next game is Middlesbrough 4, Southampton 0. If you want to watch my mini meltdown, I certainly don't like watching it back, but hey ho, go watch our episode covering that. We had some choice words about
covered it
everything.
in depth, let's say.
Covered it in depth, and it led to us whinging about the state of managers in football in general. So yeah, that's that. And then Millwall 2, Swansea 1. So a very sort of late winner. We had a couple of late winners. We'll be talking about another late winner soon as well. But, really good for Millwall, I guess, like getting back to, especially after their draw against us, they've now not lost in 4 games. They're still comfortably sat in the playoff positions, which is, again, like somewhere where you predicted. I remember not thinking they would do great, but they're really pushing on this season. Again, it's like that kind of difference making of getting that like goal right at the end and not stopping until you get a result, right, which I think we severely lack some of that sometimes. So yeah, fair play to them. Greg has stopped having a coughing fit. Mate, any thoughts on the Swansea Millwall game?
Fair play to Millwall. Like you say, I predicted them to do quite well this season, and they're proving me right, showing me that I know maybe something about football occasionally, which is nice. But
another sort of last minute winner at the Den as well, right? Like, that's proper home form.
That's it. And it shows their willingness to push on. They've had a pretty good festive period, 2 wins, 2 draws. So they'll be happy with that. And right up there in the playoffs now. So yeah, fair play.
Good for them. Rightio. Moving swiftly on, Stoke City 2, Norwich 0. Former Saint Sam Gallagher getting a goal for Stoke. Continued to try and regain their form, right? Because they were really, really doing well for a long time. You thought they were sort of battling for third. They were definitely in the playoffs, and now they dropped out a little bit. They had a loss, draw, loss, and then they've won their last 2 on the bounce. So good for them. More woes for Norwich, who just seemingly were doing a little bit better, but then have dropped points in the last 3 games. They managed to win in between. But yeah, the problem is it's not enough.
I wonder what team would possibly break their streak and let them get a win in. Who knows?
Let's not talk about it, mate. I'm still unhappy at the amount of points we've given to people underneath us. It's just upsetting. But yeah, fair enough. Like Stoke try to do things, get things. But it was like, I think it was Sam Gallagher's first goal in 10 months, apparently, which is nuts.
That's crazy. Yeah, fair play.
Fair play. It's always good to see a former Saint go on and do good, in my opinion. It would be better if they always did good under us. But Sam Gallagher was always one of those ones where, it was kind of sad when he left. And everyone, it was a likable guy, right? So it's nice to see him do well elsewhere.
Yeah.
I don't really have much else to say about that. Obviously, Norwich probably lamenting the chance to escape the drop zone again. But they're going to have to deal with that probably for the foreseeable. Moving swiftly on to Portsmouth versus Ipswich. Oh, wait, no. They also had a frozen pitch.
This was... Look, I on social media have seen lots of calls about how Tim Pot it is when the sun is shining to have a frozen pitch at Fratton Park in 2026. But I've also seen the counter argument from lots of Pompey fans that maybe they only put like a thin sheet of frost protection out, seeing as how many players they've got out injured at the moment. It's probably, if anything, done them a favour to have the game postponed. So
even so, like, at least you didn't do what, like, I don't like to give it, like, I don't like to give our rivals credit, but at the same time, at least it wasn't like 5 minutes before the game kicked off.
Yeah.
There's at least a little bit of time.
I did see some post on social media that their oversoil heating system had failed them with a picture of just one electric heater and a skip. So
You're right. The only way that you'd have consumed any content about that would be through Facebook groups that are Saints Facebook groups. So, moving swiftly on to our last game because of how many postponements were. And despite the fact it's our last game, I've still managed to drag this whole podcast out for 26 minutes. My bad, Greg. It'll be shorter for you. Poor Greg did have a coughing fit in the middle of it. But the last game, the nail in the coffin for the Ryan Mason reign at West Brom, despite the fact they dominated most of that game. Leicester 2, West Brom 1. As a person with Baggies fans in the family, mate, what do you make of that game?
Man, West Brom just did their best Saints impression, didn't they? They absolutely dominated Leicester at the point that Fatawu scored his absolute wonder goal, that volley from the edge of the box in the 94th minute. That was Leicester's second shot on target. So, like, it's just...
It's mad, considering as well, like, they made 6 goalkeeper saves, which means that, like, West Brom came out. West Brom had, double the amount of touches in the opposition box as well.
Yeah, they absolutely dominated, and I think that they were incredibly unlucky, and I think that, to be fair, it can be said that that has been the case in several of their games recently, where they have, not got the result they deserved, but it's a results-driven business, and Ryan Mason's found that out. I mean, there were talks of him going sort of as early as when we played them in December, so also, I think really a huge surprise to anyone, but
Carlos Corberán might be available now, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of sensational return, because they didn't really want him to leave in the first place, did they?
Yeah, no, he left off his own back to go to Spain, right? So, I could potentially see that on the cards.
Alternatively, do you feel like it's a bit of a Will Still situation where, like, he tried his best and it just didn't work out? How do your family feel about it? Because, like, I know that, I've seen a couple of sort of tweets and bits and pieces with people celebrating that finally his reign is over. So, like, but then again, that was kind of how a lot of our Saints fans felt about Will Still and every other manager we've ever had.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. Like, obviously, he was struggling, and maybe there's some thoughts that he was a bit out of his depth with it and not quite experienced enough to take on the role, really. But they're in a tricky position at the moment where they've only recently been taken over by new owners, so they're struggling with financial fair play rules, and that's why we were able to get Tom Fellows for such a good deal, because we paid enough of an amount up front to them for that deal that effectively kept them like not getting a punishment for breaching the rules. So they'll be hoping that once that, I think that it's something that happened a couple of seasons ago that sort of caused this closeness to the cap for them. I believe it expires just in time for the summer transfer window. So, they'll just be hoping to stay afloat and push on and see if they can build something for them. So, whoever they bring in next presumably will be brought in with that in mind and looking to the future. So at least they've got this sort of end of season time to bed in and work out what they need, ready to sort of build again and go next season.
Yeah, sort of a similar trajectory to us in the sense of they've just had a much worse season than it was expected of them, right? Like sitting 18th, they're just above Charlton, below Swansea. That isn't where I think anyone's expectations are when you're a team that usually are pushing for promotion playoff places most years. So, yeah, I guess we'll have to see what happens with them, but let's not take away from the fact that that goal was an absolute wonder strike. I'm assuming you've seen it, Greg.
I watched the game, or at least the second half of the game last night. Just unbelievable. But like I say, West Brom just so unlucky, as they have been, which I mean should give them confidence that where they are in the table probably underrepresents.
I'd love to agree with you there, mate. But I remember a time where we were really, really unlucky at the beginning of the Premier League under multiple games under Russell Martin. Right, there were games we should have won, maybe like the Wolves game where goals should have stood and things like that. But you honestly telling me that it didn't represent where we were supposed to be?
I think that there's enough quality in their squad that they won't be down and amongst the relegation come the end of the season. They'll be at least comfortably mid-table, I would assume. So,
well, that's all we got
right
time
there
for today.
alongside us as comfortable mid-table fodder. That's all it is, mate.
Oh, I wish I managed to finish it off before you called us mid-table fodder. But you're right. The reality of the situation is at the moment that is where Southampton sit. So yeah, thank you for joining us today. Sorry we've been a bit all over the place. My hosting skills just aren't up to par with Greg's anymore. Because when we used to sort of do it one after another, it wasn't as bad. I just have no sense of time, semblance, or organisation. So I guess this is a chance for me to thank you, Greg, for not only being here, despite the fact that you died a little bit, but also being a consistently good host who is able to remain non-jumbled is the only word I can use for the entirety of the podcast. Much the different to your real life.
That's fair.
Right. Thank you to everybody for listening. We are on all the social medias. We're on Facebook. We are on X, the everything app. We are on Blue Sky. We are on YouTube. We are on TikTok. We are on Instagram. Hit us up. Let us know what your thoughts were on the championship week's action. Continue to flood us with all of your thoughts on, the situation at Southampton. What is going on? What could we do? Will we be a back three forever? And all of the different managerial changes that have taken place over the last week. I find it fascinating to see everyone's different view on it. And I believe that is everything for today. We will be back tomorrow, probably to talk about transfers, Greg. I think we've decided on, if there's enough to talk about.
I'm sure there will be. There always is.
So that's that. And until next time, thanks for listening and goodbye. This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.